Welcome to wait. Quick announcement first. Because of holidays, I decided to take 2 weeks break, so the next video will be posted on January 5th. In the meantime, enjoy this video and thank you so much for checking me out and subscribing. My Haunted Doll. Hello, my name is Brandon and I thought I would share my most terrifying experience on here. Sorry, it's kinda long. So, I'll just start with some history on the doll. Was told this by the previous owner. She was bought in Monroe, Connecticut, about 30-ish minutes away from the Warrens Occult Museum and the second-hand store. The owner who bought it felt something was wrong with it and would often wake up with scratches and have nightmares every night. So she gave it to a friend to sell it on eBay, the man I purchased it from. The man selling it had a few stories, like one for instance where he had family coming over, so he hides the doll in an upstairs closet so his niece didn't see it. The family slept downstairs and the niece woke up at 3 a.m. crying from a nightmare, and she described the doll he had upstairs, but she never went upstairs and never seen the doll in person. Didn't even know it was there. So, after that experience, he wanted to sell the doll. I didn't feel safe with it, so he put it in a storage unit. The company he was storing it in called him asking for him to come and open the unit for them to prove there was no animal in it, as the security guard heard banging and movement in the storage locker at night. I'm very interested in paranormal, so I have a collection of Ouija boards, a haunted music box, and an exorcism kit from the 70s. Decided to purchase this doll. And when it first arrived, the second I took it out of the box, all 4 of my dogs started growling very aggressively and moving backwards away from the doll. To clarify, my dogs love everyone. If a stranger broke into my house to rob us, they would greet him with wagging tails and licks. So this was very odd for them. As I started earlier, I have an exorcism kit. With this kit, there is a cross that is almost locked in place with 2 pieces of metal. See pictures below for reference. Can still be removed but with force. And around 30 minutes after removing the doll from the box, I heard a noise from upstairs. I went upstairs to investigate. It was the cross. The cross had been removed from the kit and fallen off my shelf and onto the floor. I was the only one home and all the dogs were downstairs with me, and my room door was closed. Ever since this experience, my family has been scared of the doll. So I put the doll back into the box and sealed it with salt and put it in the garage of my old house. I moved out with my girlfriend and my family still lives there. I unfortunately forgot about it as I was packing in a hurry. I forgot to get stuff in the garage. After I moved, my mother moved into her now ex-boyfriend's house, let's call him Logan, and she put the doll in a shed. Not every night, but a lot of times throughout the week, they would look outside late at night and the door to the shed would be open. One time, when Logan went outside to close the door, he heard something move in the shed, so he went inside to check what the noise was. When he was inside, he couldn't find anything that could have made the noise, but he said he felt uncomfortable and cold, so he quickly went to leave, and just as he did, 4 truck tires that were sitting on a shelf fell right on top of where he was just standing. Yes, this could have been a coincidence, but it felt like it wasn't, especially since the doll was also sitting on that shelf. After my mother broke up with Logan, she moved into an apartment and she put the doll in a closet. She has told me nothing has really happened since then, but when she's alone, she hears footsteps and knocks. And the last few nights, she has been waking up around 3 a.m. hearing noises in her room, but can never see or find anything. I will be visiting in January and will be bringing the doll back home with me when I leave. Thank you, Brandon Main, the author. Evil entity in my childhood home. I have had numerous weird or creepy things happen to me, as I wholeheartedly believe my childhood home was haunted. But this one experience shook me to my core and I'm sure will stay with me for life. It happened in my childhood home actually, but it has only been a little under 2 years ago. I'm 24 now, and at the time of this, I had just given birth to my son. He was a few months old. My partner at the time worked out of state, so I'd taken my son to spend the weekend at my mother's home. He was asleep in her room with her when this happened, which I find myself thankful for some reason. My old bedroom in the home was right across the hall from the bathroom, just a couple steps away. I had gotten out of bed around midnight to use the bathroom and to grab a drink from the fridge. I walked across the hallway, used the bathroom, and started through our living room/den towards the kitchen. There is a living room with a TV and a set of couches to the right, and the den with a fireplace and more couches to the left. As I walked by, I felt extremely uneasy and like I just shouldn't look towards a spot right next to the fireplace. I ignored this as I had many other minor experiences in the home. After I got to the fridge and took a drink of water, I turned to walk back to my bedroom, a straight shot. As I passed by the fireplace, I could feel someone looking at me. Once I got to about the middle of the room, I could feel and hear someone coming up behind me, kind of at an angle. I genuinely thought it was a family member trying to scare me. My younger brother lived there at the time. But when this being rushed up behind me, I could feel breath down the back of my neck and on my right ear. It then, in a raspy voice, almost yelled into my ear, "Who's there?" I knew at this point that no human being was in the room, because against my better judgment, I'd looked in this direction and saw nothing. I literally jumped at least a foot off the ground and sprinted as fast as I could the rest of the way to my room. I didn't go back to sleep that night, and I never spent another night in that house. It was sold by my mother about a year later. She offered it to me and I declined. This experience is something that I just can't explain no matter how hard I try or want to. It bothered me for months after. I felt gross, like I had a kind of evil film over me from it. It took a while to shake off. Thank you, Morgan Page 7116, the author. Boy in the Woods. This happened to me when I was a teenager. I think it was the spring of 1998 when I was 14. My Boy Scout troop went hiking in the Ozark Mountains in Arkansas. I grew up in a very small town in Tennessee, and the boys in my troop were people I'd known my whole life, and we were all very close and knew each other very well and trusted each other. We'd been hiking for 5 days or so, and it was miserable. It rained every day, and we were all exhausted and sore and hungry and covered with blisters. The adults realized we'd bitten off more than we could chew in trying to hike a 60-mile trail, especially with the awful weather, so we'd changed course and gotten off the trail to spend the night in the drive-in campground. The kind of place with hookups for RVs and picnic tables and fire pits/grills and a central bathhouse with showers and toilets. It was in a very remote area, far from a town or a house. There may have been a few other small groups there, but if there were, we never interacted with or saw any of them. We were all filthy and wet and thus very excited about taking a hot shower. It was dark and we'd finished dinner. A group of 5 of my friends, including my friend Jeremy, who, like everyone else in our group, I had known since we were babies, headed up to the bathhouse, which was maybe a quarter-mile walk through the pitch-dark woods, up a worn-down gravel walking trail. I stayed behind to clean up, and after 10 or 15 minutes, followed them by myself. I had a weak little flashlight, the old incandescent kind, pre-LED. I remember the woods were totally silent. When I got about halfway to the bathhouse, I could see the light from it off in the distance through the woods. I heard a noise to my left, and I looked over and I saw my friend Jeremy standing by an old-school manual water pump about 20 feet off the trail. The kind of pump where you rise and lower a handle to pump water up from a well. There was a strange light around him, like the moon had come out from behind the clouds. I was startled to see him there by himself in the woods off the trail. I asked him if he was already done with his shower. He seemed kind of sad and he said, "Yeah, it's all yours." I said okay and didn't think much of it until I got to the bathhouse. When I walked in the door, my friends were all in there and I heard Jeremy talking from in the shower. All the blood drained out of my head and all the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I had to sit down before I passed out. My friends were freaked out and wanted to know what was wrong. I told them what had happened. They nervously made jokes about how I must have been smoking pot. This was long before any of us had experimented with any mind-altering substances, but I could tell they believed me. Like I said, we'd known each other forever and knew when one of us was exaggerating or playing a joke. We all waited together until everyone was finished showering and brushing teeth and whatnot, and then walked back together in total silence. When we got to the spot I had seen whoever, he was gone without a trace. The water pump was there though. No one had noticed it before because it was ways off the trail and obviously not in use. We got back to our campsite and went to bed freaked out. I remember not sleeping much that night. In all the years since then, I've never been able to figure out what happened. Was there a random teenage boy in the woods who looked just like my friend? Unlikely. Did I hallucinate it? Also unlikely. Who's to say? Thank you, eijtn, the author. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you already haven't, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any new episodes. Happy holidays and happy new year. Hopefully it will be better than the 2020. Anyway, love you all and thank you for your support. You are great, guys. See you again soon, and until then, please be safe.